My wife said, "We weren't together. It wasn't cheating." I replied, "Our marriage is a-lee." Then I quietly moved my money, spoke to the best divorce lawyer in the state, and started documenting every lie from the last 19 years. I just smiled, because she has no idea my lawyer found out her health problems always vanished when I was out of town. Original post: I am 39 years old. My wife Anna is 42. We have been married for 17 years and have 2 children, a son who is 14 and a daughter who is 11. Our life is built on a story I used to love telling. We met, I asked her out that same day, and we were married exactly 2 years later. For a long time, I thought she was my one and only. The beginning was a whirlwind, and I was a 19-year-old kid who had never really been in a relationship before. I was a virgin. She was older, more experienced, and seemed to know what she wanted. Don't miss the twist. Subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Our marriage has been defined by her health. For more than 10 of our 17 years together, she has suffered from a collection of physical and mental health issues. They are not life-threatening, but they are persistent. Chronic fatigue, anxiety, joint pain. I have always been her staunchest defender. When friends or family suggested she just needed to push through it, I stood by her. I managed the house, took on the bulk of the childcare, and worked full-time to support us. I did it because I loved her, and because I believed she was truly suffering. Over the last 5 years, things got much harder. Her conditions seemed to worsen, and she withdrew from life. She stopped working entirely. She spent most days in bed or on the couch. I felt myself becoming a caretaker more than a husband. 2 years ago, I started to feel neglected. It was a quiet feeling at first, one I pushed down with guilt. She was sick. My needs were secondary. But this year, the feeling grew into a constant ache. I felt invisible in my own home. I started to question everything. Did I make a mistake marrying the first woman I ever dated? Had I missed out on life by settling down so young? The foundation of our marriage had always felt a little shaky because of her dishonesty about her past. When we first met, she told me she had only been with one other person. Over the years, the truth came out in drips and drabs. Little comments, slips of the tongue. I learned her real number was much higher. It did not bother me that she had a past, but it bothered me that she lied about it. The lies created a seed of doubt that never fully went away. There was one guy she was still friends with on social media, someone she claimed she could never stand. Years later, she admitted she had slept with him right before she met me. Every new piece of information made me feel like our history was written in disappearing ink. My feelings of neglect and these old doubts came to a head a few months ago. I was cleaning out the attic, looking for old photo albums. I found a box of mementos from our first year of dating. Inside, under a stack of letters I had written her from my summer job as a camp counselor, I found a small diary she kept that year. I know I should not have read it, but I felt like I was drowning, and I needed an anchor, something to remind me of the man and woman we used to be. I opened it. Her entries were short. Most were about her work, her friends, things she was watching on TV. But then I got to the 7 weeks I was away at camp. I remember calling her almost every night, telling her how much I missed her, how I was counting the days until I could see her again. She always sounded so happy to hear from me. According to her diary, she was happy, but not just because of my calls. She wrote about going on dates. She mentioned sleeping with 2 different men during that time. One was an old boyfriend. The other was just a random guy from a bar. I sat there on the dusty floor of the attic, holding 19 years of lies in my hands. The words on the page did not make me angry. They made me feel hollow. Everything I believed about the start of our life together was a carefully constructed fiction. She had not been waiting for me. She had been living a completely different life, while I was falling in love with the idea of her. I closed the diary, placed it back in the box, and put the box back on the shelf. I walked downstairs, and when she asked me what was wrong, I told her I was just tired. I did not confront her. I needed a plan. Update 1. I lived with the knowledge for 2 weeks. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. I went to work, helped the kids with their homework, and sat across from her at the dinner table, all while her diary entries played on a loop in my head. I watched her, really watched her, for the first time in a long time. I saw the small deceptions, the casual way she would twist a story to make herself look better. I noticed how her worst health symptoms always seemed to flare up right before a family event she did not want to attend, or when I asked for help with a major chore. The cheating 19 years ago was the anchor, but the chain of lies stretched all the way to the present day. I decided to confront her on a Friday night. I wanted her to be relaxed. I waited until the kids were in bed and we were sitting in the living room. I poured her a glass of wine, her favorite. I did not have one. I have not been drinking much lately. I needed a clear head. I let the silence sit for a while before I spoke. "Anna," I said, my voice even. "I need to ask you something about the summer before we got engaged. The summer I was working at the camp." She looked at me over the rim of her glass, a little surprised. "Okay. What about it? Were you seeing other people then?" I asked. I kept my tone conversational, curious. She hesitated for just a second. "No, of course not. I was just waiting for you to come back." It was a lie she had told me 100 times before. It used to make me feel special. Now it made me feel sick. I did not challenge her directly. I just nodded. "That's what I thought. It's just, I was feeling so neglected lately. It made me start thinking about the past, about how we started. I thought it was so clear how I felt about you. I called you every night. I told you I was falling in love with you." She put her wine glass down. "I know you did. But we were young. We were not official then. It was a small crack in the dam." I pushed gently. "So we weren't together. Is that what you're saying?" "Well, not officially," she said, shifting on the couch. "We hadn't defined the relationship." "So if you had slept with someone else during that time, it wouldn't have been cheating in your mind?" I asked. She laughed a little, a nervous sound. "I guess not. But I didn't. So it doesn't matter." That was when I stood up and walked over to the bookshelf. I pulled the old diary out from behind a row of books where I had hidden it. I did not open it. I just held it in my hand. "I found this in the attic," I said. The color drained from her face. She stared at the small, leather-bound book as if it were a snake. She did not say a word. "You wrote about 2 different men, Anna," I said quietly. "You wrote about sleeping with them while I was at camp, calling you every night, telling you I loved you. The foundation of our entire marriage is a lie." She stared at me, her mouth opening and closing, but no sound came out. Then the tears started. "I was going to tell you," she whispered. "No, you weren't," I said. "You have had 19 years to tell me. You chose to lie over and over again." Then came the defense I knew was coming. "We weren't together." It wasn't cheating. Her voice was suddenly sharp, angry. She was surprised I was mad. She seemed to think the passage of time made the betrayal irrelevant. "I don't know why this is such a big deal now. It was so long ago." "It's a big deal because you lied," I said. "And you have kept lying. And now, I have to wonder what else you have lied about." I placed the diary on the coffee table between us. "I need some time to think. I'm going to stay in the guest room for a while." I walked out of the room, leaving her with the evidence of her first betrayal, and the knowledge that I was finally seeing all the others that came after. Update 2. I spent the next month acting. I was the concerned husband. I told Anna I was hurt and needed time, but that I was willing to try to work through it for the sake of the family. She seemed relieved. She became overly affectionate, constantly trying to prove how much she loved me. She kept saying she was sorry for hurting me, but always followed it with, "But you have to understand, it was a long time ago. You can't let it ruin what we have now." She started making it about my reaction, about how my coldness was breaking her heart. It was the same pattern of manipulation she had used for years. But while I was playing the part of the grieving husband, I was also taking action. I met with the best divorce lawyer in the city. I explained the situation, starting with the cheating 19 years ago, and ending with my suspicions about her health issues. He was methodical and direct. He told me that long ago infidelity was hard to use in court, but a pattern of deception and financial liability was another matter entirely. He advised me to gather evidence. I started a log. I documented every time she had a sudden health flare up that conveniently got her out of a responsibility. The parent-teacher conference she was too anxious to attend. The weekend trip with my family she was too fatigued for. The job interviews she was too sick to go to. The pattern was undeniable. My lawyer also recommended a private investigator. I hesitated. It felt like a massive betrayal. Then I realized the betrayal had already happened. I was just trying to find the truth. The PI was a former cop, a quiet guy named Miller. I gave him a schedule of my work trips and the kids' overnight camps for the past year. I told him to just observe. The first report came a week later. I had been on a 3-day business trip to Chicago. Anna had told me she was having a terrible flare up and would likely be in bed the entire time. Miller's report included photos. Photos of her leaving the house on the first day, dressed in workout clothes, heading to a yoga class. Photos of her having lunch with friends on the second day, laughing and smiling. Photos of her spending an entire afternoon shopping at the mall on the third day. She did not look like a woman in chronic pain. She looked perfectly healthy. The reports kept coming. Every time I was away, her mysterious illnesses vanished. She was active, social, and energetic. The woman in the PI's photos was a complete stranger to me. She was the woman I had married, the one I had not seen in over a decade. The truth was sickening. Her health problems were not real. They were a shield she used to avoid work, responsibility, and any part of our life she found inconvenient. For 10 years, I had sacrificed my own happiness and well-being to care for a woman who was not sick, but was simply a masterful liar. Armed with this proof, my lawyer and I made our move. I opened a new bank account and had my salary deposited there. We filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, but the petition was supported by a mountain of evidence detailing her financial and emotional deception. I did not want to fight. I wanted a clean break. I served her with the papers myself. I sat her down at the kitchen table, the same place we had shared thousands of meals. I handed her the envelope. She opened it, her hands trembling. Her eyes scanned the pages, and her face went from confusion to shock to pure rage. "What is this?" she screamed. "You're divorcing me. Because of something that happened 19 years ago." "No," I said calmly. "I'm divorcing you because of what happened yesterday, and the day before that, and for the last 10 years. I slid a folder across the table. It contained a single report from the PI, the one from my Chicago trip, with the glossy photos of her shopping and doing yoga. "I'm divorcing you because our marriage is a lie, Anna. All of it." She stared at the pictures, speechless. For the first time in our life together, she had no lie to fall back on. She was cornered by the truth. Update 3. The aftermath was quiet and brutal. Anna's entire world was built on the foundation of her victimhood, and I had just kicked it out from under her. When she realized I had undeniable proof of her deception, she did not try to fight the divorce. Her anger collapsed into a pathetic kind of despair. Our friends and family had always been divided. Her supporters saw me as a neglectful husband who did not appreciate her struggle. My supporters saw her as a drain. I decided to settle it once and for all. I called a meeting with her parents and my parents. I sat them all down in my lawyer's conference room. Anna was there, looking pale and small. I had my lawyer present a sanitized, 10-page summary of the PI's findings. It detailed a year of her activities, cross-reference with her claims of sickness. It showed a clear pattern of deceit. Her parents were horrified. They had been giving her money for years to help with medical bills and living expenses. They saw, in black and white, that they had been funding a lie. My parents just looked at me with a sad kind of understanding. Stripped of her support system, Anna tried to bargain with me. She called me late one night, crying. She said she was sorry for everything. She admitted she had exaggerated her symptoms. She claimed it started small, a way to get out of things she did not want to do, and then it snowballed into a lifestyle she could not escape. She begged me to reconsider the divorce. She said she could change. She said she still loved me and our family. I agreed to meet her one last time. We met at a park near our old house. It was a cold, gray afternoon. She looked older than her years. The stress had taken its toll. She tried to hug me when I arrived, but I stepped back. We sat on a bench overlooking the playground where our kids used to play. "I know I messed up," she began, her voice thick with tears. "I know I lied. I was scared. Life became overwhelming, and it was just easier to be sick. But I can fix it. We can fix this." I listened without interrupting. When she was done, I looked at her, not with anger, but with a profound sense of detachment. "Anna," I said, my voice flat. "Do you know what the worst part of all this is? It's not the cheating 19 years ago. It's that I can't find a single genuine memory of our life together. Every anniversary dinner, every family vacation, every time I stayed home from work to take care of you, it's all tainted. Was any of it real? Were you ever really happy with me? Or was it just an easy life?" She started to protest, but I held up a hand. "It doesn't matter anymore. The person I was married to never actually existed. She was a character you invented. And I can't live with a ghost. So you're just giving up on us. On our family," she whispered. "There is no us," I said. "There is me, and there are the children. You made your choice a long time ago. The divorce is happening. We will communicate about the kids through a co-parenting app. That's it. There is nothing else to say." I stood up and walked away, leaving her on the bench. I did not look back. I did not feel sorrow or regret. I just felt the quiet relief of a man who had finally escaped a prison he never knew he was in. Final update: it has been a year. The divorce was finalized 8 months ago. The evidence was so overwhelming that she had no choice but to agree to my terms. I have primary custody of the children. She has them every other weekend. The court ordered her to get a job, and she is now working as a receptionist at a dental office. Her parents are helping her with rent, but their relationship is strained. They feel as betrayed as I do. The kids are doing well, all things considered. They are both in therapy, and so am I. I have been honest with them in an age-appropriate way. I told them that their mother and I could not be married anymore, because the trust between us was broken. They have seen the change in her. The constant sickness is gone. She is the fun, energetic mom on her weekends, something that hurts me in a way I cannot quite explain. But my therapist says the kids are smart. They see it too. They know which parent was there for them every single day, and which one only showed up when it was convenient. I sold the big family house. It was full of too many ghosts. I bought a smaller, more manageable place closer to my office and the kids' schools. Life is simpler now. It is more honest. There are no more lies hanging in the air. There is no more walking on eggshells around a manufactured illness. It is just me and my kids, building a new life on a foundation of truth. Sometimes I think about that first betrayal. 19 years ago. It was not just about her sleeping with other men. It was the beginning of a story she wrote for herself. A story where she was the main character and everyone else, including her own family, was just a prop. I do not hate her. I do not feel anything for her at all. She is a stranger to me. Last week, my daughter brought home a drawing from school. It was a picture of our new family. Just the three of us, smiling, in front of our new house. The sun was shining. She had written a title at the top. "Our Real Home." I framed it and put it on my desk. It is the only picture I need.